You may have heard that Renault is planning to make some big cuts in 2020 following the devastating impact of the coronavirus. We put together an explainer video on the news last week, which you can find by clicking the link in the top right hand corner, but we wanted to do something a little bit different for today's video. It's no secret we're big fans of the Alpine A110, and the thought of it being taken off the market is, to put it lightly, utterly heartbreaking. To keep the Alpine name alive for as long as possible, here are 5 reasons why you should run out and buy an A110 in 2020. The A110 really does tick every box in the sports car category. With a curb weight of just over 1,100 kilos, the A110 is a bit of a featherweight in the sports car world. Yes, its 248 brake horsepower turbo engine may seem a little wheezy on paper, but take into consideration the car's lightweight build and you've got the recipe for something that'll devour B roads without terrifying you in the process. Now Renault, one thing we'd like to see on the next Alpine, if you ever get round to building one, is a manual gearbox. Flappy paddles are great and all, but Porsche and Aston Martin prove there's still an appetite for changing cogs manually, and I can't think of a car more suited to a manual box than an A110. We all love sports cars, but they're not exactly what you'd call stylish. Pull up to the Hotel de Paris in Monaco in an Audi TT or a Porsche 718 Cayman, and you'll get a look that says, you can't afford an R8 or a 911, so how can you afford to stay here? But the Alpine is different, oozing class and sophistication despite costing less than £50,000. But why is that? Well, we'd argue that the Alpine strikes the perfect balance between classic and contemporary. The circular lights and distinct bonnet crease come straight from the original A110 from the 1960s and mid-1970s, which contrasts perfectly with the wider stance and a silhouette that clearly shows it's mid-engined as opposed to the rear-engine format adopted by the original. Sports cars have a bit of a reputation for having rudimentary cabins and, overall, being a bit uncomfortable on long journeys. Look at the Lotus Elise for instance, a pretty car on the outside, but the only luxuries you'll find in the cabin are a bit of leather around the steering wheel, some floor mats and a radio, if you're lucky. However, look inside the Alpine and you'll find a stylish cabin that offers a level of opulence without compromising on weight. The seats, for example, are covered in a mix of diamond stitched leather and Alcantara, while the McLaren-like centre console gets a leather coating, but its design is minimal to save valuable kilos. You also get a 10-inch digital instrument cluster and a 7-inch infotainment screen in the centre of the dash. There are lots of sports cars on sale today that are incredibly fast, but don't really engage you as much as a sports car should. The Audi TT RS, for instance, feels like a baby R8 in many regards, launching you from corner to corner at breakneck speed, but it underwhelms in the feedback department when you come to turn the wheel. This, however, isn't really a problem with the A110. The sports car's steering is light, but provides a level of feedback that is hard to come by in today's crop of performance machinery. That's an opinion held by many in the motoring world, with some outlets handing their Car of the Year trophies to the A110 in 2017. You can get a sharper A110S, which packs an extra 40 brake horsepower and a refined suspension system, but we'd argue that the standard car is so good, it never really needed the updates in the first place. If the rumours are true and Renault pulls the plug on the Alpine project before the end of the year, the A110 could become a bit of a collector's item. So far, Renault has sold just over 7,000 examples of the A110 in Europe since its release in 2017. That may seem like a big number on paper, but when you take into consideration that Porsche sold 7,000 Caymans in the same region in 2019 alone, you quickly realise that the A110 is somewhat of a rare beast. Add into the mix sleek looks, an elegant yet purposeful interior, and critically acclaimed dynamics, and would you look at that, you've got the blueprints for a modern classic. In all fairness though, we hope the A110 is with us for many more years to come, and morphs into the French equivalent of the Porsche 911. For more car news and reviews, head over to YesAuto.com.